So, just doing a bit of a response to anonymous dude. I kind of like the sort of mono mellow tone thing. With your shorts. I think you ought to keep doing that because you do want to listen to them, and it looks like it is getting you some new subs. But I just want to point out how I think it's just goofy how an entire generation of people have been conditioned to believe that in order to be supportive of someone, you have to agree with every single thing they say. And if you're against someone, you have to be against every single thing they say. Same thing they do to us in the media, with Republican and Democrat. It's like if you support one Republican policy, you're a far right-wing lunatic white supremacist, and if you support one Democrat policy, you're a far left-wing nut. And that it's so funny to watch you guys fall for that trick, because that's what it is. You understand that the media, they think they're smarter than you. They sit around and they have think tank meetings where they come up with these strategies on how to just smoke your mind, and you guys fall for it like fools. You're the only generation to do it. And now we have this all in or all out attitude, right? And then in addition to that, it's, if you disagree with one thing, somebody says one thing you disagree with, well, then you're their mortal enemy. And it's just ridiculous, and it shocks me to see that an entire generation has fallen for that. And then you sort of take this, milquetoast on the fence position. You've hardly been a simp for anybody that I can see. But the minute you agree with one thing I say or disagree with one thing Crack Squad says, you're suddenly a PBR simp or an upshirt simp or whatever, right? So we see the same thing spilling out. And, dude, you just did that to me. You just did what Crack Squad did, because I said, what is it that you want? With this Jared and Adventures with Purpose, you're one of the guys that has repeatedly made comments about Jared, hey man, justice, and Jared, justice. And my question is, what the hell do you want? The guy's been charged. He's out on bail awaiting his court hearing. I don't know what it is you still want. What's there to still do? I mean, do you want him to revoke his bail and go arrest him for the lies that Reddit accuses him of, and just put him in jail and throw away the key and not have a court trial? Or do you want more charges pressed on him for lying? I mean, I just don't know what the goal is here, because as far as the justice system, the wheels of justice are in motion, right? They have arrested him, charged him, he had to post bail, and now he's awaiting trial. And my question to you is simply, what is it that you want? And now, next thing you know, here I am. I'm making excuses for his allegations, or I'm defending his allegations, and I'm not doing any of those things. I'm not defending. I'm not accusing. I'm not on any camp there. I just want to know, what is it this group of go get Jared wants? What do you want? They have arrested him. They have charged him, and he's going to court. And it's just funny that you feel like there should be some kind of mob internet justice because Reddit. And you know what? That's another really sad story. Reddit. What a shame. The people that own that website, foolish, right? Because Reddit could have been as big as Facebook. I mean, it could have been $1 billion publicly traded company by now, had they not allowed petulant college students to be moderators and administrators. That was their biggest mistake, right? Because they have literally chased off anyone that would even have a smidgen of conservative opinion from that website, and reduced it down to just far left lunacy only, or or just complete nonsense, right? I mean, Reddit is the only social network where you can take a random photo and just completely fabricate a caption out of thin air, post it, and it'll make it to the main page, and people have discussions about it like it's real, and even get in fights about it, and the whole thing's made up. And every single time a news story breaks, they end up on the wrong side of it. At the end, we find out that nothing what they said was true, right? And to tell you, Reddit came about when another social network very similar to it crumbled. And man, the name eludes me right now, but Reddit was born out of the ashes of that. And what a cool concept, right? You share this stuff, and you got everybody can have a forum. Everybody can can have these different special interest groups. And you would think that a social network like that would be so popular, right? Because there's literally a subreddit for every niche in society. And what a cool thing. But the problem is the moderation is just so left-wing kook that it has stifled the site's growth, something awful. And let me give you an example, okay? When that group first started, when Reddit first started, I was in one of the forums, and I was really one of the more popular people in the forum, and it was called abandoned porn. And what the subreddit was cool old abandoned buildings. Now, where I live, in this general area where I live, there's just no better place to find abandoned buildings to take photos of, right? There's so many of these small coal mining towns that were just abandoned when the coal industry was killed. And in fact, just a few miles from here was the largest drag line crane coal bucket in the world. And it walked on feet. It took like 11 men to operate it, had its own big generator systems. And in fact, I went up in an airplane and flew around the boom, and we were looking up at the top of the boom to give you an idea how high it was. And when that thing was shut down, the community did everything to try to save it, and they could not raise enough money to outdo the salvage bid. So the only thing that they were able to do was save the bucket. But anyway, and they built a park called Miners Park, and the bucket's sitting there, and you can park 2 semi-trucks in it. I mean, that's how big the bucket is. But not to get too far off in the weeds there, this particular subreddit, very popular, abandoned porn pictures. And I mean, and there are entire towns here that are abandoned. The whole main street's boarded up, right? One in particular, Shawnee, Ohio. Now, not so much now, but 25 years ago, that would just look like a time capsule. I would say even 15 years ago. And I was always taking pictures of these abandoned houses, abandoned schools, abandoned courthouses, abandoned, just all kinds of neat stuff, stores, and even an abandoned hardware store. It still had all the stuff in it. There was even a speed shop where the guy left and literally locked the door and walked away, and everything was still in there from the 60s. And just really cool pictures, right? And they were very well received, especially the pictures of Shawnee area and Renville, which was a small town that formed the first black coal miners. And there was a big fight between them, and they set the mine on fire, and it is still burning today. That mine is still on fire under the ground today. And it burnt 2 whole towns down. And there was another town, Santoy. If you guys do some Googling, I have some very popular articles out there on Santoy, which was a booming coal mining town where my wife's father was born. That is no more. But anyway, the only thing left standing is the jail. But at any rate, to get back to the point, I was constantly taking pictures of these abandoned places and posting them in the group, and therefore had become pretty popular in the group. And one day I log on, and boom, I'm banned. And I'm like, I mean, no warning, no, just banned. And come to find out, I had taken a picture of an abandoned police station, and it sat at the foothill of a hill there, and the streets go up, and way off in the distance, in the background, you could see little tiny house with a Confederate flag in the window. Of the back of that shot, when, you know, the focus, the subject was the jailhouse. This house just was in the background, way up on a hill. And there was a tiny, you could see a Confederate flag. It probably wasn't even really a Confederate flag. It was probably one of them ones you buy at like a truck stop that had like a picture of a semi or a Harley or something, and then the X with the stars or whatever. But I was banned for racism because that could be seen in the back of the shot. So that's how liberal Reddit has become and how out of touch with reality they are. And then now here you are acting like Reddit ought to be the measure if somebody's guilty or innocent. And I just find that crazy, dude. I wouldn't believe a damn thing I read on that site. And again, I am not defending anything Jared's been accused of, and I'm not accusing Jared of anything. I'm saying the guy's been arrested, he's been charged, he's out on bail, and he's awaiting trial. So what is it you want with this constant gibberish about Jared and justice and stuff? I mean, do you just want him to just throw him in jail and not have court? I mean, what's your goal? And it just shocked me that you tried to turn that into me, you know, somehow defending what he's been accused of. And that's just ridiculous. And then moving on to Rusty Truck, a.k.a. Thomas Swartz, and his stupid kid, Frederick III, you know, Schwartz. You're talking to these two morons like they're like normal people with rational thought. And there's like, you know, or like there's this normal father-son relationship, and there's not. Thomas is one of those overcompensating fathers who out of his own guilt thinks that, you know, if he just showers them with attention and gives him anything he wants, that makes him a good father, because he doesn't know what being a father is. And so an example would be if, let's say, if my kid, somebody ran into his car and totaled it, right? And they didn't have insurance, and there was some big delay in him getting his car fixed or whatever. I would loan him money to get another car, right? I mean, that's what a parent would do, right? Situation that was out of his control. You know, and that's what I'm here for, I guess, you know, help him out, right? But if he went out four-wheeling and rolled it down a hill acting a fool, then no, I wouldn't loan him to get another vehicle, right? Whereas Thomas would. Another scenario, if my kid was being bullied by somebody for no reason, and they came to me wanting my support, they would have it, right? But if my kid was bullying somebody, especially a woman, or two-time war veteran with PTSD, no fucking way is that kid getting my support, right? I mean, my kids know that as long as they're doing the right thing, I'm there for them. But if they're doing the wrong thing, I'm the last guy they're going to want to get a hold of. And if my son, see, here's the difference between me and Thomas, okay? If Frederick went out and stole money from an elderly couple on a fixed income, Thomas would laugh with his kid, and they would go spend it together and laugh about it, how funny it was to rip these people off and how stupid they looked and the dumb look on their face when they figured out they were ripped off, okay? My kid would keep that from me, right? He wouldn't even tell me about it because he knows if I caught wind of him bullying somebody or stealing money from an elderly couple on a fixed income, I would be the first person to turn him in. I'm like, and they know that. It goes without saying. And another example, if even given the totality of what I've dealt with an ex, okay, and that's just something that happens to us alpha males, Thomas. These women will not get over it. They won't move on. I know that's never going to happen to you, so you find it unusual, but believe me, guys like me, it happens to us all the time. And even given the totality of the just bad mouthing and trash mouthing and slander I've dealt with, my sons know they are not allowed to trash mouth their mother in my presence. They are not allowed to talk bad about their mom. Okay? Whereas Thomas would sit and trash mouth his ex right along. Yeah, they would do it together. You know, he doesn't know the difference between being a parent and being an accomplice, I guess is the only word that comes to mind, right? And there is a big difference. We deal with this with one of the kids we had for quite a while. His mother was living with some dude in a camper. They're doing drugs or whatever, okay? And it's my belief that every kid needs their mom. And the ideal scenario is they reconcile, right? And the kid can go back home and be with their mom, right? That's just that's the best outcome, to be with family, especially with a mom, or even a dad. But moms, kids need their mom. So what they do is, so she gets a visitation, and every visit's overcompensation. Okay, so instead of, just spending some time with the kid, her idea of being a parent is take him to the bouncy house that costs $70, where he's going to lose interest in 10 minutes, or to go buy him 6 new toys, and the kid's bedroom was so full of stuff, because every time he went for a visitation, he'd come home with a bunch of new stuff, right? And you can't just get rid of it, and just piles of this stuff. And, I'll never forget her asking, well, what's he want for Christmas? And her condition was, if you get an apartment and maintain an apartment for a certain amount of time, then the court would consider overnight visits and then eventually a reconciliation. In a year's time, she still hadn't gotten an apartment yet. And, here she is asking, what for Christmas. And my comment to her was, well, he would really like to have his mom. He could have anything. And, her, it's just, if I buy him a bunch of stuff, then I'm being a great mom. Well, that's Thomas Swartz right there. It's just shocking that Power Stroke is the only crack squatter that's got his daddy out here fighting his battles for him. And Thomas thinks that's being a dad, and all you're doing, Thomas Swartz, is making your kid weak and feckless doing that shit, okay? You should never be supportive of your kid when they're doing something wrong, Thomas. You should only be supportive of them when they're doing something right. And if you're going to stand here and try to tell me that you think what they did to Xana May and her family was right, I'm going to tell you to go see a fucking psychiatrist, because it was just hellaciously wrong. Like in every act, there wasn't one thing about it that was even cool. So that's the difference. So Anonymous dude, you're talking to these fools like they got some rationale, and they don't. That you're dealing with a Thomas Swartz, the typical. He's got the beer gut. Looks like he's got a basketball under his shirt. His gut sticks out, 10 inches further than his dick. He's short, balding. And he looks just like his kid, but 20 years older or 30 years older, right? And Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere with that. It's not a father-son relationship. It's this real sick accomplice relationship where Thomas is supportive of him no matter what. If he wants to steal some money from an elderly couple, Thomas would help him hide it. If he wants to bully a 2-time female war veteran with PTSD to the point it brings her to tears and her mother is like begging people for help, he's going to help him do it, right? He doesn't have the spine to look at his kid and say, you ain't supposed to be doing that, okay? So you're just wasting your time talking to him. And as far as the mod thing, dude, I'm lucky to have a couple mods as it is, because anybody that mods on my live stream gets bullied by Crack Squad, and some people don't. And you know, and Crack Squad, you know, i.e. Thomas Swartz, they don't know boundaries. Not everybody can tolerate having some jerk that has no job and has nothing but all day to piddle go pay money for background checks that they can read online, because, you know, let's face it, nobody's perfect, right? And or, you know, to get an ex to come on and trash somebody. No, a lot of people aren't cut out for that, anonymous dude. A lot of people can't tolerate that. And I've had some good people come on and mod, and they just got bullied all to hell and back. And, you know, they're just not, and I don't want them to have to tolerate that. But I can tell you, there's no such thing of Twisted going and talking and doing anything. Okay, I've only talked to that guy maybe 5-6 times on the phone. It's always been a very short, to the point, polite conversation that was on topic. And so I'm sure you have sense enough to know that anybody can make their name twisted, and anybody can take audio and or patch it together and make it sound like a conversation. I mean, that's very easy to do, especially when you're a guy like Thomas Swartz who has all day to do it, right? So, you know, so leeching off the state, sitting in his chair, doing this crap to people all day long for his kid, bear in mind. I mean, these aren't his beefs, they're his kids' beefs. So, yeah, you're wasting your time with that. But yeah, I think you ought to keep doing the shorts. I think you'll get more subscribers that way. And yeah, nobody can accuse you of being on someone's side and being a simp. And I wouldn't even entertain it. If somebody accuses you of that, I'd just laugh about it. And like I say, the few mods I do have, I appreciate. Yeah, okay. Do they maybe get a little bit emotional after being, you know, insulted? Well, sure. But you understand, like on StreamYards, for example, when a comment gets moderated, I can still see it. You can't, but I can still see it. And every time someone has, you know, said this stuff that, oh man, you know, I'm getting, you know, deleted or timed out for just having an opinion. That's not true, because I went back and looked, and it was a vulgar comment, or it was a comment that had someone's real name, or a comment that had some personal information. There's always a reason why there was a moderation. And so now, have they maybe gotten a heated exchange and maybe abused a little bit of authority there? I suppose, but they're human. You know, they endure a lot of insults, dude. A lot of personal attacks. You know, Rusty Truck would love nothing more than to get Twisted Tennessee's real name and go download his background check and read it on a live stream. He would just love to do that for his kid, right? So, you know, there's a lot to consider there when you're making that blind comment about mods, because, like I said, I'm lucky to have any at all. And I think they've done okay, considering what they've had to put up with. And they're not perfect, but no, there's no such conversation like you claim. That I can tell you right now, that didn't happen. That's just another lie from Thomas Swartz, i.e. Rusty Truck, and his stupid kid with no parenting. So there you go.